people are running into, a brick wall at the SEC. There's the lawsuit against Ripple. A lot of things riding on that. So that's.
I developed a use case, and there's network effect. I mean, if you take a look at some of the larger ones, Ripple, for instance, and other ones that have been around for a long time that have very high market values.
And one of the questions I wanted to pose to you was around kind of what we're seeing. Ripple's been on a tear since the election, and that's one thing.
Now the settlement oracle knows which transaction reference to query for completion. The settlement oracle queries the XRP network for the status of transactions with the specified transaction ID.
Have you ever tried to move money from Venmo? PayPal owns Venmo, just to be clear. Have you ever tried to move money from Venmo to PayPal? You can't do it.
They try to shake me out, but I was born ready. Dropping down the price, then I be getting plenty. They want all your bags, and they want all them empty.
What's up, good glitches? If you got a baggie, welcome to the party. Welcome back to some more Moon O'Clock News. What do you think will happen? The Great Reset, Monday, March 17th. Jeremy Hogan says, I just maxed out my credit cards, took out a second mortgage, and bought a new car through the bank. Ready for it? Shout out to the latest sub. Appreciate you stopping by, tuning in. Don't forget to drop an elbow from the top ropes on that likey button. Go ahead, throw on those moon suits, throw on those pilot shades. Buckle up, because the future's extra bullish. Let's go full speed, full throttle into the cryptoverse. We got the total global cryptocurrency market cap today up to 2.85 trillion, down about 0.2% in the past 24. We got XRP currently right around $2.35, up about 13.7% in the past 7 days. We got BTC 84,000, ETH right around 1900. We got Stellar XLM right around 27 cents. We got Cointelegraph to pop things off. Ripple files trademark application for custody service wallet. The trademark application shows 4 use cases for the world mark, including 4 downloadable software for custody of cryptocurrency, XRP, the RippleNet. Ripple Labs has filed a trademark application for the word mark Ripple Custody, indicating that the company behind XRP token is considering expanding its branch in the crypto custody space. We got the filing notes, 4 use cases for the word mark, including one that reads financial services, namely custodial services in the nature of maintaining storage and possession of cryptocurrency for financial management purposes. Riz XRP, the Ripple case, Paul S. Atkins will save the day. That's the core one.
So, people are running into, a brick wall at the SEC. There's the lawsuit against Ripple. A lot of things riding on that. So that's like a really interesting thing to follow in this space.
That's the core.
That's the core one. All roads lead to the bridge. Subject views new. Dan T, founder, CEO, and CIO of the 10 Trillion Holdings, mentions Ripple XRP and says 99% of speculative crypto assets are going to zero.
But altcoins have continued to bleed. There really hasn't been much performance of significance in the rest of the crypto market, which those who look at the cycles would have anticipated happening by now. What do you make of that?
Well, I think a lot of those things deserve to go to zero. And I think their venture investments, I think that, they're still searching for their, use case, some of them. I mean, look, I also think it's a problem that there seems to be an infinite amount of, let's say, meme coins on Solana. Even the Trump coin and other coins, they sapped a lot of liquidity from the market. But look, the altcoins, there's infinite supply. So, if you've developed a use case and there's network effect, I mean, if you take a look at some of the larger ones, Ripple, for instance, and other ones that have been around for a long time that have very high market values, they've sort of held in okay. I think just the most speculative end of the market is speculative. And 99% or 99.9% of those speculative tokens will end up going to zero. So I don't see anything different happening than has happened in any other cycle that we've been in.
XRP, built for businesses, built for utility, built for institutions, built for banks to move all the money, all the value. Axelar Network, Aronson Capital, and other institutions made a strategic investment in Axelar Decentralized blockchain interoperability is critical for expanding the US dollar access via stablecoins and institutional tokenization of real-world assets. We got the digital asset investor, John Deaton. There could never be a more bullish time, in my opinion, for this industry, especially for XRP, utility, bag holder.
Different than that, we've got a president of the United States who has said they're going to make America the crypto capital of the world. We have an executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve with also, which isn't just hodling the 200,000 Bitcoin that America has, but actually saying to the the Secretary of Treasury, who is a Bitcoiner, and the Secretary of Commerce, who is a Bitcoiner and also involved with Tether, I want you to find budget neutral ways to acquire Bitcoin. You would have never imagined that in a million years. And so I think it's official that the anti-crypto army of Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, are done.
Yeah, no, and I think there's a lot of people that are excited to finally see that, just kind of considering all the shenanigans that played out in terms of, trying to undercut this industry. And really, I think, as you've championed, John, kind of undercut retail traders who are out there kind of trying to find a new system that works for them. I think there's also still, though, kind of this weird, phase right now where all of this is playing out. Obviously, a lot of changes happening in DC. And one of the questions I wanted to pose to you was around kind of what we're seeing. Ripple's been on a tear since the election, and that's one thing. And I think it's kind of interesting because obviously would love to get your take on kind of the SEC versus Ripple case as it exists now. But weirdly, I feel like Ripple's borne the brunt of kind of the downside when the SEC was going after them. But if they win, it kind of spills over to the rest of altcoins. And so I think it's kind of interesting to think about that in terms of the excitement and upswing in Ripple, maybe not being shared by the rest of kind of cryptos beyond Bitcoin and ETH. I mean, what do you make of that case, where we're at now, and what it says about the rest of the crypto space?
Yeah, it just shows you what a difference a couple years in an election can make. I mean, I think that we've seen the SEC officially dismiss the Coinbase case, the Kraken case. We've seen them end investigations against not dozens, but hundreds of companies that got Wells notices, Gemini, Robinhood, big names in the industry. The SEC is, folded their tent and said, we're done. Go innovate, and we're taking that boot off your neck. And so a lot of people have been expecting, especially in the XRP community, well, why hasn't the SEC v. Ripple case completely resolved? Everybody's got to understand it was a little different, right? There was an actual ruling by a judge who ruled early sales of XRP, needed to be registered and gave an injunction saying you can't sell like that anymore, direct sales, but secondary sales are okay. So there's a lot of finagling legally of how to remove that. There's been lots of reports, and maybe Eleanor, who's coming on in a little bit, will have more insight on her sources. But, there's a lot of talk that SEC and Ripple are close to coming up with a resolution that is going to end all of that litigation. And I think we're seeing what happens when you get a level playing field and innovation has an opportunity to breathe. And so I know a lot of people are upset, Zach, or maybe not upset, but impatient about price action and why isn't Bitcoin over 100,000 and why haven't the altcoins moved the way that they were expected to maybe. I think that's all going to play out, but there could be never a more bullish time, in my opinion, for this industry. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm telling you, as someone who has, 84% of his net worth in the asset class, obviously I'm pretty bullish.
Crawl, walk. Then we rock it. We got a couple from Smoke Dog XRP standing strong during a tough market correction, while Bitcoin saw a massive 978 million outflow this week, bringing its 5-week total to a huge 5.4 billion. XRP went the opposite way. It gained an impressive 1.8 million in inflows this week. This adds to the solid 212 million in the year-to-date inflows, showing XRP's steady growth. Big institutions are showing clear interest, as seen in the 7.4 million inflows over the past months. XRP is enjoying a unique sense of stability at the moment, and his on-chain data confirms this reality. We got another one from Smoke Dog video of R3 Corridor Settler using XRP, the standard.
As the beneficiary, Company A can choose the currency in which they'd like to be paid. In this case, Company A chooses XRP. To update the obligation, Company A will get the current exchange rate from an exchange rate oracle, and then update the obligation with the new currency and amount. Having made these changes, Company A obtains a signature from the notary service and distributes the obligation to Company B. Corda Settler also allows users to add additional terms, such as the desired payment address on the XRP network. Company A updates the obligation again and distributes it. Company B is now ready to settle this obligation, and so initiates a transaction from their XRP node. This obligation can be settled in one or many transactions. Company B gets a payment submission confirmation from the XRP network, updates the obligation with the transaction hash, and sends it to Company A and the settlement oracle. Now the settlement oracle knows which transaction reference to query for completion. The settlement oracle queries the XRP network for the status of transactions with the specified transaction ID. When Company B's payment has been confirmed, the settlement oracle marks the obligation settled, obtains a notary signature, and distributes the updated obligation to Company A and Company B. The obligation is now settled, and the counterparties have completed the second leg of their transaction.
Tim Scott, the United States will be the country that leads in the digital asset innovations for generations to come. It'll run on XRP.
Cryptocurrency is here to stay. We want to innovate in America before we over-regulate it. We had a framework put in place led by Senator Hagerty, Senator Lummis, myself, making sure that the stable coins, to understand stable coins, it's kind of like a traveler's check on the blockchain. It gives people more access to the resources, and it will reduce the cost of doing business in America. A leap in the right direction. We will be the country that leads in the cryptocurrency footprint for generations to come. It's another promise made by President Trump on the campaign trail, another promise that we're keeping in our legislative agenda and priorities. The American people can rest assured that democratization is here to stay, and it will get better and better as we move these bills to the president's desk to be signed into law. It was a really good week.
Regulation jar molasses is about to burst open. Another confirmation. Treasury Secretary says that digital assets are here to stay, and we're going to make the United States the digital asset hub of the world. Dark Defender, the primary correction on the weekly daily time frame and the 4-hour structure is over for XRP. There will be more ups and downs. We check daily in the detail. XRP has started wave 1 with the aim of 585 supports, 230, 222 resistance, 339, 585. This upcoming week will be fantastic. With that being said, Jay Claver, the global financial system runs on XRP Ledger, whether you like it or not. Big banks are quietly loading up because they know what's coming. You know what's coming, and they can't stop it. One XRP can power multiple cross-border transactions daily. Your favorite companies will soon need XRP to survive in the global trade. The writing is on the wall. Get ready or get left behind. The trains left the station. Brad Garland House, XAF Crypto, explains why the financial system needs XRP, the standard.
This is why the financial system needs cryptocurrencies like XRP.
First, I'm going to say, I imagine a number of people in here have a PayPal account and you probably have a Venmo account. Have you ever tried to move money from Venmo? PayPal owns Venmo, just to be clear. Have you ever tried to move money from Venmo to PayPal? You can't do it. You have to go Venmo back to your bank and then back to PayPal. The reason I start with that answer is, in a perfect world, what we see an interoperable payments network world of the future, where all payment networks are interoperable. The world we live in today, and I'm using PayPal and Venmo as the example, is highly not interoperable. What you're talking about, the U.S. Fed and the faster payments, that's a domestic clearing. We actually think, yes, that would be fabulous. Actually, Ripple was one of the kind of leads on that task force. At some point, though, you have to go from the U.S. dollar to another currency.
With that being said, Batman Bag Ladies, less than a month and a half away for the 4th edition Moon Party. Down in Austin, Texas, 4/26, 2025, we'll have DCENT wallets on hand, IMU TV, the Bluminati, Rich Ducks, Crypto Club. Where will you be? Where will those bags be when that regulation jar molasses finally breaks open and XRP's true price is finally revealed? We'll catch you down in Austin, Texas for a proper Moon Party. BYOB, bring your own bags, be your own bank, be your own boss, and don't forget to drop an elbow from the top ropes on the likey button. See you at the tippy top. Later, glitches.
Later, glitches.
Welcome to the party. This a moon party. Hey, this a moon party. Hey, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. This a moon party. This a moon party. Welcome to the party, we don't play around here.